A lot of people have had different things to say when it comes to Tyson's competition with other boxers, as they try to take their best shot at who could defeat the Beast, but who'd be a better judge than that of his father. Recently, John Fury talked about who he thinks to be his son's greatest threat, and it's probably not what you're thinking. Let's get right into what the father had to say. First off, he knows his kids super well. Joyce and Usyk were both ringside at the most recent match as Fury defended his WBC heavyweight World Championship title with a 10th round knockout of Chisora during their trilogy showdown at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Usyk, who owns the IBF, WBO, and WBA super heavyweight belts, approached Fury on the ring apron after he'd been called out for an undoubtedly heavyweight title fight before WBO interim champion Joyce asked for his crack at the Gypsy King, joining his opponents on the ring apron. Things just start going down out of nowhere when it comes to boxing, but John had a lot to say about the situation. He feels that Joyce is probably the most dangerous opponent because he's huge and also strong on top of everything else. The father feels that he is fully capable of keeping up the momentum and has an impressive mechanism within, making him the exceptional fighter he is. Obviously, he feels that his son needs to be at his peak to defeat the big risky rival. Going further into detail, he mentioned how they'll probably plan a lot more elaborately if it's Joe. After the training, John fully believes that just like everybody else, the rival will also have to bow down to Tyson's power. In the end, he was nonchalant about the entire thing, implying that they can have the challenge if they want it, but then he wished them all luck. Maybe he has a little too much faith in his son. Coming up, is Usyk a threat? The fighter isn't just 35, but he also hasn't fought since beating Anthony in their fight in August and appeared pretty unaffected when Fury ridiculed him before a sold-out London stadium. The former undisputed cruiserweight world champion from Ukraine is expected to be the Brits' next opponent in early 2023, in a fight that will crown the very first absolute heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis and the first four-belt holder. John continued by saying that no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't imagine him getting beat. Usyk was standing out on the edge of the ring, but he was just too little. From what he could tell, the fighter was not compatible with Tyson's son, and that's how he based his opinions. He said that he knows he's a fantastic little boxer, but a good big one will beat an excellent little one every time. On the other hand though, the son thinks a bit differently. Back in 2021, he considered Alexander to be one of the greatest threats to him. After being knocked down twice by the Americans in the first fight, Fury realized how deadly he was, and confessed that he was the largest danger as they geared up to fight again. But none of that meant that he was scared. He mentioned how he was already fought and beat the guy once, so the Gypsy King's biggest obstacle was this one right there, and he enjoyed it. Finally, why is Joyce such a threat? The WBC champion, Tyson, appeared absolutely unbeatable after he stopped Deontay Wilder for the second time in his career. While it's never wise to make predictions in a heavyweight fight, Fury has gained enough skill to call himself the greatest in the division. It's difficult to imagine him failing, especially after defeating the toughest in his weight class. The fighter himself is still undefeated, but he has defeated legends such as Wilder, Klitschko, and Whalen, among others. However, he feels that Joe will give him the most difficult struggle. Frank Warren, who promotes both the boxers, spoke with Sky Sports about Juggernaut's chances versus the Gypsy King. He mentioned how Tyson himself believes that the Juggernaut is the best at what he does, and he admits that the guy seems pretty hard to get rid of. And he has a great reason to believe that because Joe is a force within himself. The Juggernaut is a heavyweight title contender who is 13-0 in his professional career with 12 KOs. Although he's no longer relevant in the WBC, his WBO mandatory status may put him nearer to a shot at the World Championship shortly. The two fighters may cross paths if he wins 2 or 3 more bouts and the Gypsy King retains his championships. Now moving up to remarks about Fury and Chisora. First off, Warren thinks that Fury vs. Anthony would have been similar. Frank has boldly suggested that a supposed match between Tyson and Anthony would resemble the Gypsy King's trilogy victory over Derek Chisora. About a week ago, the WBC heavyweight world title holder overpowered and stopped an old rival in a brutal one-sided match. Fury's promoter, Warren, alongside his American partner, Bob, was chastised for staging the fight, especially following failed attempts to set up a fight with AJ. In response to all the drama, the promoter said that even though Fury was a convincing winner, he strongly feels that it would have probably been a similar result as AJ stepped up to the plate. He went on to talk about how Derek outperformed Dillian Whyte in April and certainly had a better shot than Wilder. Warren emphasized that the vital point is that the boxer got through the fight without incident, and now the heavyweight category faces a big 2023. They now need to wrap up the loose ends around the Usyk match, and then, if all goes well, the highly anticipated Joyce will enter the picture. He said that he was highly confident that next year will be the year when boxing puts its full effort in and comes back into the spotlight, with the biggest and finest matches taking place. Fury has also expressed interest in fighting both of the opponents we just talked about. He welcomes the challenge. When talking about his next year plans, the Gypsy King said that it will hopefully be the greatest year of his career. Moving on, let's look back at Derek's almost humiliating defeat. Considering how Warren is comparing a fight with Anthony to Fury's past fights with Chisora, we'd love to talk about how badly the dude got beat in the ring. It's not that Derek's a bad fighter. He has fought some of heavyweight boxing's best stars and still craves more. The 38-year-old snapped a 3-fight losing record by defeating Pulev in July and even hinted at a future battle with the hard-hitting Deontay Wilder. But as he recently met Tyson Fury for the third time, his 3-time loss to the fighter may be all he's ever known. The WBC champion insisted on retiring after defeating Dillian Whyte back in April, but the attraction of fighting had just been too strong for him to resist. Success has always eluded Chisora anytime he's advanced to the elite level, and this has never been more apparent than when he faced Fury for the second time. With a possible heavyweight title match against Klitschko on the line and having already lost to the Gypsy King in 2011, Fury brutalized Chisora for 10 agonizing rounds from his pretty rare southpaw stance. At one point, he even had to ask the referee, McDonald, to stop the fight and put his adversary out of his pain. After the 10th round, former trainer Don called a halt to the action, removing the gum barrier from his fighter's battered and bloody mouth. The throwback helps us understand exactly how impressive Fury's trilogy win against the fighter is, and not just that, but it was super fascinating to watch. Finally, at least Chisora did better than Wilder. Warren also admitted that he had managed to put up a much better fight than Deontay, and if you were to ask Fury's father, he puts it in a whole new way. In John's word, Tyson will destroy Deontay's career if they meet once more in 2023 after the Gypsy King's battle with Derek Chisora. Following Wilder's voluntary defense of the WBC championship against Derek on the 3rd of December, the 34-year-old could face Tyson for a 4th time. The World Boxing Council has set a final qualifier between Wilder and AJ, and as a result, the victor of the fight will be the next in line to face Tyson or Chisora in 2023. The fighter was actually contemplating retirement after suffering a heartbreaking 11th round KO loss to Tyson in their trilogy bout last October. That's how bad it was. According to Fury's dad, they know just where to strike and where his weak place is. Tyson will pound him in that vulnerable region, as he's never been hit before. He believes that his son can beat Deontay 7 days a week, and he'll fight them all 4 times on Sunday too. And that's a wrap, folks. Are you looking forward to Fury's 2023 rivals? Tell us in the comments below. And as always, make sure to click that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more updates about your favorite boxers. See you in the next video.